So, this is called the nonprofit job, which is just a job that you basically work in. And a nonprofit job is different from other jobs standard because other jobs they focus on one thing, but nonprofits are organizations and they're not businesses. They can do multiple things and they're mostly geared towards activism projects like, you know, yeah. So my name's Lorenzo Licata. My major is forestry resource management. I'm a freshman, and my goal is with this job is to preserve our country's already threatened biodiversity and plant species. Hmm. By Lorenzo Licata, Forestry Resource Management, freshman, and to preserve our country's already threatened biodiversity and plant species. Description of the nonprofit job. This job is simple in its description. You basically work for a nonprofit and help to educate and spread awareness about the cause that you strongly believe in. For example, a moment of magic at WVU dresses up people as mascots and go to entertain children who are stuck in hospitals in fear and scared, or kids who are in terminal illness, who have terminal illnesses like cancer. And another example is Tampa Bay Watch, which has its primary goal set to purify the Tampa Bay estuary, a hotspot for biodiversity and fish species, by creating oyster reefs to purify all the pollutants out of the bay that humans put there. Some challenges of this job is the low pay and, other things too, like the fact that I need a driver's license because for some reason you have to drive in this world. But my plan to overcome the challenges of low pay is to work hard until I can progress up in the rankings and also to eventually get my valid driver's license sometime within 2025. Education or skills required, a college degree and driver's license, because in our society, a college degree is so valuable that you need to have one to get most jobs anymore that actually pay a decent wage to live. And the salary range from these are just a few of the jobs I picked out of a lot of them. There are 8 pages of jobs that, for this example, Florida Native Plant Society will be utilizing. Account support representative is $74,000. Account support representative inside sales is $76,138. Associate accountant consultant, $56,000. Business development associate, $85,000. Industrial measurement technician field service, $64,000. Inside sales representative is $59,000. Schedule officer manager, this is like a big head game. Like this is inner circle. That's like $116,177. And the service technician heavy capacity is $55,117. And the DFW field manager is $42,000. The project coordinator, these are people who like set up the events. Oh yeah, like we're trying to preserve the longleaf pine, for example. We'll sell a ton of longleaf pines at this tabling event so people can buy them, bring them back home, and help conserve the already endangered longleaf pine. Or other project coordinator jobs, for example, like, oh yeah, going out and removing Caesar weed, an invasive weed that's in our county and in many counties in the south of the US. A warehouse specialist, like 37,000, a little cheaper. They run the warehouses where all the tabling stuff is stored and etc. And future opportunity customer service representative. These are people who actually do the tabling events. And they don't make a lot of money, but they can work up in the ranks. And they can also apply for board positions in Florida Native Plant Society. Now, altogether, all of them typically average to around $70,000. But there are some very low ones and there are some very high paying ones. And the high paying ones you can't just get into automatically unless you're like honors, college student, whatever. Employability skills necessary. Of course, the college degree, because you need a college degree to prove your worth in the society. A valid driver's license, because you need to be able to drive to the events, you need to be able to drive things. Driving's important. Ability to be sociable. You need to be able to talk to these people who are coming to your tablings and say, hey, like, you know, they asked questions, you answer them, you act friendly, you act nice. Your goal is to try to get people to want to invest and buy native plants to get a native plant yard because that preserves biodiversity better than our national parks are doing currently, especially with them trying to deforest them all the time. And also having a basic understanding of native plants and how to restore habitats. You need to be able to understand these plants and what's invasive and what's not, or else you're not going to be very good. You don't want to put English ivy in your habitat restoration project because it's invasive and it'll take over everywhere. Like basic stuff. Can you advance in a career? Yes, you definitely can, but the Florida Native Plant Society inner circle is extremely tight, and getting into it requires knowing the right people and also being able to do everything they ask of you perfectly. Basically, nonprofits are organizations, right? Nonprofits are started by people. These people form their nonprofits to help change the world, and nonprofits tend to have an inner circle or a council. They're people who they trust the most. They're people who have the highest ranking positions. And that would be the Florida Native Society chapter board. And everyone who gets elected into those positions for your specific county in Florida, you basically become part of the inner circle. And it's not easy to get into this. You have to win an election, and it's a whole rigorous process. But if you work your way up, it is possible. It's just not as easy as in other places, like say an accounting firm. Like it'd be way harder than that. Why are you interested in this career? This career has been what I've wanted since I've been 11th grade. The environment has always been important to me, and knowing that all I need to get is a job like this is a college degree makes me want to finish college even more. The job, for example, Tampa Bay Watch, one of the ones I want to work for more, concentrate utilizes concrete to make dome-like structures that oysters can successfully cling onto and form their oyster reef colonies, which are important for purifying the bay water. Florida Native Plant Society removes invasives from areas and promotes and encourages people to plant natives in their yards to help save biodiversity by starting with our front yards. That's soil in the front yard and backyard that can house native species, native plants, slash pine, you know, bald cypress, water hyacinth, like they all support local pollinators, and local pollinators support farms. And it's all a cycle. It all goes back to your yard. Land that was deforested and taken away to be made into housing, and then planting a turf grass yard, which contributes nothing to biodiversity and requires a lot of water, which natives do not. Next, any additional info? It may not really be possible to really progress in this role. Like I said earlier, the fact that some nonprofits have different values than you and belief systems, like, oh yeah, not every Tampa Bay Watch member wants to specifically restore seagrasses immediately. Some would probably only want to restore oyster reefs, and some would only want to preserve seagrasses, but you have to keep them on the same side. You can't really keep them on the same side. And then there's the mangrove people who want to preserve the mangrove cover in Florida. But altogether, they're all a part of the bay. Like, they're all a part of the ecosystem and they all matter. But some people may want oysters more than mangroves, and some people may want mangroves more than like seagrasses. It's just based on people's preferences, really. And maybe focusing less on making shell hunting illegal. Backstory: shell hunting's bad because if you take shells off the beach, they make the sand loose, and then hurricanes can come and take away more sand. Sand is weak on its own, but with shells, it holds its structure better and it basically prevents erosion. So taking shells should be illegal, in my opinion, but they're not. And people focusing on sea oats, which build up dunes on the Florida beach, they go all the way up to New Jersey and they go all the way down to like Cuba and Mexico and stuff. Sea oats, some people might focus more on sea oats over shell hunting, and some people might want less shell hunting over the preservation of sea oats. The pay is basically nothing if you're going to be doing tabling because it just doesn't make a lot of money. Nonprofits aren't really like funded by many major corporations or organizations, especially by oil companies. They don't care. And it's doesn't make a lot of money, but there is potential to gain leverage in the business and to become not business, I mean nonprofit, and like just become more successful. And also being forced to drive would suck because I hate driving. I really don't like it. But they're not always going to be in my area when they do tablings. They're going to go down to St. Petersburg or Tampa Bay, and I'm going to have to be able to get there. So a driver's license will be very valuable in my future. I'm just not ready for it. And also, I really want this job, but it seems so unobtainable at this present time. But yeah, that's my presentation. Thank you for listening, Professor.